Are you tired of hearing about the Ted Bundys and Jeffrey Dahmers on true crime podcasts? I thought so. We've got something just for you. I'm Pat.
And I'm Darcy, and we are the hosts of Pod of Terror, a true crime podcast that dives into lesser-known cases from around the world.
Grab a glass of wine and join us every Thursday as we discuss the most vile, despicable human beings on the planet.
It'll be a dark and twisted journey, so don't forget your drink. You're gonna need it.
We're looking forward to seeing you next Thursday.
Darkcast Network, bringing our indie podcasts out of the shadows. Now then, witches and beautiful souls, you are listening to the Bell Witch podcast, witching in the 21st century with me, Swailes, a friendly green witch. This is episode 51 and I'm feeling a lot more chipper than I was for the last main episode, listener. And there are many reasons for this. One is, at last, I broke my goal in the new year of over 1,000 Spotify followers. 1,115 to be exact. Woohoo, she's buzzing! And did you hear my snazzy little promo and story shout out over on an amazing podcast called Real Life Ghost Stories? Yes, it did. Real Life Ghost Stories with Emma. I was absolutely chuffed to bits with the lovely shout out she gave me, and I got loads of listeners from it and loads of downloads and everything. So thank you so much, Emma, for mentioning the Bell Witch podcast. I shall link that episode in these show notes just for you. And also I had a little flurry of Patreon members, of which I will thank right now. Thank you so much to Juniper Berry and Rowan Milne, is it? M-I-L-N? Milne? Terrible. Thank you for becoming official members. And also welcome to London Hill, the Shelby King, Kylie O'Brien, Ruby Reed Sharp, Carla and English Witch in France. Thank you for joining, and I hope you like it here enough to stay and maybe become a full-time member. And I'm always open to ideas and suggestions to put stuff on. I have made a Discord group. It's a little bit tumbleweedy at the moment, but I guess it'll take a few members to hop on over and to come and talk to me and see if we can get some witchy conversation going on. That would be awesome. I recently recorded a very powerful meditation for my Patreon members. It is the Meet Your Loved Ones meditation. This one is quite historic for me. I first did this meditation when I was really young, you know, in the spiritualist church that I speak about in my mum's episode. I remember my nan had just died and we did this meditation, and that was the first time I met Nan in spirit. And I remember it so vividly. It was really powerful. And so every so often I do this meditation throughout my life. I have customised it a little bit to make it more personal to me. And I hope it helps you. And if you are in a good place emotionally, do come and listen to this meditation. It's about 20 minutes long. But if it's not a good time, don't worry about it. Do it when you know you're ready for it, as it is an emotional one. But it'll be there for you always, okay? If you're a Patreon member, it'll never get deleted. And I think this might be the first of many, a new thing for Patreon. I am also going to write one about meeting your spirit guide, your spirit animal, similar to the one I learnt from Louise Bloomer, the Wiccan lady that enabled me to meet my Reiki horse. I'm going to create one uniquely for my Patreon subscribers. It'll be so lovely, I can't wait. I'm going to read some stories as well about witches. I found this book at school in the little libraries in the playground. It was from the 70s and it was stories about witches. I thought, oh, it'll be interesting to see how witches are portrayed. Hopefully they're not all scary, ugly, like warty green ones. There must be some nice ones in there. So that'll be quite a cool little experiment. Oh, what else? What else have I got to tell you about? Ah, the monster that is TikTok. Somebody set up a clone TikTok of me. So if you've come over from TikTok after following the Bell Witch podcast too, welcome, but that's not me. It is an imposter pretending to be me. Outrageous. It's great you're here, and I sincerely hope that you didn't give them money. Apparently they are DMing people saying, can I give you a reading, what's your star sign, for a donation. I can't stress it enough. Legit readers, witches, light workers, oracle card readers, palmistry people, spirituality people, we just don't do it. We do not message you unsolicited offering you readings and then asking for a donation. Please don't fall for it. I can't believe these bloody scammers. It must be profitable for them because they're still doing it. I ask if anybody messages you saying, I'm drawn to you, you've got a lovely light round you, there's something going on, I like your name, what's your star sign, can I give you a reading? Report and block. Oh my God, it just stresses me out knowing that some of my fans could be getting scammed. Please don't fall for it. We don't do it, honestly. Oh my gosh. We trust you to find us. If you want a reading, you find the person to give you a reading and then you ask us for it. We never ever offer unsolicited readings ever. Keep safe out there, my lovelies. Okay, so this episode is another lovely moot loot with an amazingly gifted kitchen witch, Laura, who lives on a long boat called May Moon, doing amazing videos on her Instagram. She has lots of followers and she's also bringing out a deck on Kickstarter. So I said I would mention this deck on Kickstarter and encourage you all to go over there and have a look at this tarot kitchen deck because it looks bloody amazing. Please check it out. Laura has sent me a little blurb, so I'm going to read you that now. For the last few months, Laura has been working on the Ritual Kitchen Recipe Tarot deck, which marries up the meaning of each card to an ingredient and a recipe based on the folklore and magical properties. It's basically a tarot deck and recipe collection all in one. Laura is illustrating this project, and there is a Kickstarter campaign which runs until February the 21st to raise the money and get it backed and get it created all swish and professional and high spec. So I'm aware that's not much time, hence me bringing this moot loot forward. 21st of February will be here, like lightning, I tell you. So I shall link the Kickstarter in the show notes below because I just love to be helpful. Do please check it out, and if you can support Laura on this amazing endeavour, please do, because this deck will be absolutely amazing and I love that she's illustrating it all herself, so it will be so incredibly special. And who doesn't love an indie deck? Who doesn't? Indie decks are the best decks in my opinion. Okay, without further ado and ramblings from yours truly, I'm going to hit play on this lovely moot loot. Grab yourself a brew and something sweet treatish to eat. It rhymes. And enjoy the show. Welcome, Laura, to my little witchy podcast. I'm just so excited to have you because you're a bit like witchy royalty to me.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you so much for having me.
Laura is an amazing witch that I discovered on Instagram. I think another listener actually mentioned you to me and had a look into your amazing Instagram. You've got a lot of followers, but your videos are lovely.
Oh,
About
thank
you and your little boat and all the stuff you get up to. It's really cool. So I was like, oh my God, I want her on the podcast. I need her. Here you are.
As if by magic.
Absolutely, as if by magic. I manifested it.
So my name's Laura and I describe myself as a kitchen witch. My practice hasn't always been primarily based around food, but I would say for the last 5 or 6 years, I've been exploring witchcraft as a practice primarily through food, through plants, through foraging. I live on a narrowboat where I cook my little witchy creations. I make videos talking about the history of witchcraft and what it means to me, and also throw in a bit of talking about things like feminism and the food industry and like social commentary. But yeah, primarily just love food and love witchcraft.
Your little narrowboat is lovely from what I see on your videos. May Moon.
Yeah, I love my boat. I actually found my boat through witchcraft as well, strangely, because I'd always wanted to live on a boat for a really long time. I don't know where the idea came from, but it was just something that I desperately wanted to do. I sort of knew that it was the right path for me. And strangely, after I got the boat, I found out that my grandparents had narrowboats in the Midlands in the 60s. So maybe it's in the blood kind of thing. But yeah, in spring of 2020, I kind of finally got the opportunity to invest in buying a boat. And I spent the whole summer of 2020 sort of trying to find the right boat. I think I looked at 12 or 13 different boats in and around London mostly, because that's where I was based. None of them felt like the one. I put a couple of offers in, things had fallen through, but none of them really felt like my boat. And then I went to Cornwall for the autumn equinox and I did a spell at St. Nectan's Glen to find the right boat. And within a week, I found May Moon. Unfortunately, she was 70 miles away from home, so it's like not the most convenient boat to buy. Bringing her back down to London was quite a eventful journey, but I learned a lot. And yeah, she is the right boat for me in many, many ways. She's taught me so much.
And when I emailed you, I addressed it to Laura and May Moon because I can tell it's so important. Like the boat she's her own character, she's her own personality, and I really, really vibe with that. I love it, absolutely love it. And I love that it's your 13th boat that you looked at. I mean, how witchy is that?
That's true. I'd
So
not really
good.
thought about that before, but yeah, I think she was the 13th boat. She also had some runes painted on the side of her, one of which I think it's the Anzuz rune, which is all about communication and creative expression, and I have the same one tattooed on my leg. So that's how I ended up going to see May Moon. I went to a marina to see a different boat, but I spotted this boat that had runes on the side of it, and I was like, "What is this? Let me go and have a look at her." And then I set foot on her and I was like, yeah, I just burst into tears. I was like, this is my boat.
Oh, wow, amazing. You named her May Moon.
Yeah, her original name, it is written in runes, so I don't fully know what the name was. It was written as Tabin or Tabian. I'm still not sure exactly what her name was. And it is bad luck to rename your boat when she's in the water. But because my boat, I never really knew her original name, I feel like I'm kind of worked around that, getting through superstition with a loophole.
It's been 5 years, so I think you're definitely in the clear.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't all been smooth sailing, but we're still together, we're still happy. So yeah.
How is it living on a boat? It must be amazing. It must bring you so much joy just being on the water.
It does. It does. For the first 3 years of living on the boat, I was continuously cruising. So that meant that I wasn't staying in any place for more than 2 weeks. You have to keep moving along the towpath and basically live a very nomad existence. So I bought the boat up in Northampton, and the plan was to bring her down within a week. But lockdown was sort of chasing me down the country. Do you remember in like December when the tiers were locking down county by county? And it was literally chasing me down the Grand Union, and I was racing against it. And eventually it caught up with me in Berkhamsted. So I had to stay in Berkhamsted for months, just static. But it turned out to be one of the best things. I mean, I was on a boat for the first time. This was like a week into my journey, and I was locked down, no one else around me, no one that I knew, not in walking distance of anyone that I knew. So I had to spend the winter lockdown like completely alone, living on a boat for the first time. But it turned out to be the best thing that could have happened because it really forced me to get used to boat living. Yeah, I love boat life. I'm now in a marina, so things are a lot easier because living on a boat on the towpath it's like having a part-time job aside your full-time job. It's a lot of work, but I really loved that period of boat life and I wouldn't change it. And maybe one day I'll go back on the towpath.
I just have this crazy vision in my head, like a comic book, like lockdown coming to get you. You're there with boat,
Yeah.
like, don't get me, like chasing you.
It was exactly like that. Every day I would look at the news and be like, oh, it's only one county away now. I need to hurry up because I'd never driven a boat before I bought my boat. So I was having to get people to come and help me move the boat, and help me do locks and things because it was a bit daunting to do it on my own. So I could have technically kept on moving. I mean, it was against the rules, but I probably could have gotten away with it. But I just didn't want to move the boat alone. So that's why I got stuck.
Got a lot of questions about just boat living, which aren't
Yeah.
very witchy. I just need to get it out of my system and then we'll talk about the witchy stuff.
That's fine. That's fine. Everybody wants to know about the boat. It's fine.
How do you get post? Where does the post go? Because you don't have an address. What?
It's always so funny to me that post is like the number one question that people ask, but but it's not something I ever really like considered that much because I don't really get any post. It's not really a problem. Sometimes I use my mum's address, sometimes I use a friend's address. Like you actually don't need an address. A lot of people will tell you that you need an address for like a doctor's. You actually don't need an address to be registered at a doctor's, and you don't need an address for a bank or anything. You're allowed to use an elected address. So it hasn't really been a problem. I don't really buy things online either, so that's not really much of an issue. I mean, it can be a pain. Like recently I bought a fridge and that was a real pain because it's very difficult to buy a fridge if you're not getting it delivered. It's very difficult to buy a fridge for collection. So it's little things like that. But aside from the rigmarole of it, it's not actually stopped me from doing anything, really.
I didn't know that. I thought you had to have an address to register stuff, but you don't. You heard it here first.
They want you to think that you need an address, but you don't. And for things like voting, you can actually vote in any constituency that you have been through in the previous year. So I can't remember which election it was, but all of the voters voted in Uxbridge to try and get Boris off his seat because they were allowed to register there, even though most of them had just transited through there.
Did it work?
It didn't work.
Oh, boo, boo.
There's not enough voters really to tip the scales that much, but we tried.
And you work from home, I guess.
Yeah, so for 7 years I had a job in social media, and so for almost the entirety of my time living on the boat, I was working from home because obviously we went working from home in 2020, which is part of the reason why I was able to. I think it would have been a lot more difficult if I wasn't working from home. People do it, and hats off to them, because I would really struggle with that, like continuously cruising and going into the office every day or going into work every day. I solely do my own business now.
It explains a lot that you used to do social media, and your social media I find really good, really, really good.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, some of it is obviously quite contrived, but
Oh no, it's so good. I love it. Okay, one last question about the boat.
Go for it. I honestly don't mind boat questions.
So when it's windy, then I guess it rocks a lot.
Yeah, it can. Yeah,
and you just get used to it, I guess. Do you? I don't know.
It's really not too bad on like the canals. I would not live on a seaboat. I couldn't. I would get vertigo, I think. I've only ever gotten like land sickness once the first week that I lived on the boat. You just kind of get used to it. But there have been nights that the boat has been tossed around quite a lot. I don't love it, but it doesn't happen very often. It's fine. It's more the rain that's annoying, because the sound of the rain on the roof can be incredibly loud, and that should be like really comforting. But I had an incident a couple of years ago where I went away for a couple of days and I came home and my boat had been vandalized really badly. Like windows smashed, engine wires cut. Like it was a bit traumatic, to be honest. And I didn't have windows for months because it took a long time to get them fixed. And so I was like constantly battling with tarp and covers and like trying to stop the rain coming in. So I think ever since then, every time I hear a trickle of rain on the roof, it awakens this like anxiety within me. So if I'm asleep on the boat and it starts raining, it just always wakes me up, no matter how gentle it is. And I can't bring back the comforting feeling of the rain anymore. It still feels a bit panicky to me.
Oh,
That's worse than the wind, I think.
I like the idea of getting land sickness. Is that literally stand on the land and go, oh, I'm going to be sick?
Yeah, yeah. If you're on the boat too long and don't go for like a daily walk, or you're not used to it, the second you sit down or stay still on the land, you start moving because you're like, oh, why aren't I moving?
I feel I get that with cities, actually, like city sickness.
Yeah,
Good, I don't want to be, I'm going to be sick. But...
yeah, feeling claustrophobic amongst the buildings for sure.
There's a bookshop in Leeds called, I think it's Hard Fast Books, and it's a bookshop actually on a barge. It's so
that's cool. I love that.
So if you ever come up here on your boat, because it's in like the dock bit, you should come and have a shop.
I used to live in York, so originally I was going to bring my boat all the way up north, just for a jolly more than anything, just go up to York because I used to live there and then come back down. I didn't end up doing that, but maybe one day as like a pilgrimage.
Yeah, and they are quite slow, aren't they? So it's a good
holiday.
Yeah. You can walk faster than the boat.
Going at the pace that I go would probably take me months, but yeah, it would be a nice little pilgrimage.
You have to let me know if you ever do. I'll come see you and May Moon. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, come visit.
Yeah, just me inviting myself there. That's what I'll do. I'm a right cheeky witch, I tell you. Okay, so the reason you're on the Bell Witch podcast is because you are a fantastic kitchen witch. And I absolutely love that you talk about the folklore of food. I mean, I never kind of put those two things together. I can't cook. I am the worst cook. I can boil an egg. I can make some toast. I can throw stuff on the grill and in the oven. I can't cook for my life. And I'm all right with that. It's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes that's enough, I definitely don't, I don't go for the whole like complicated Michelin star, like that's not me at all. I'm a home cook, definitely not a chef, not trained in any way. I love food, love making food, but I'm not trained, I'm not a professional. And I think that is so undervalued as well. Like a lot of the posh fancy food that we like look to be the trendsetter and like aspirational cooking. But the best food is probably like cooked by your mum on a Sunday dinner, Those are the meals that we all remember and that we connect to, and probably that are the most enjoyable. And it is just kind of undervalued, probably because we're not paying for it.
I mean, even the way you do it, when you cut it up on the little wooden board and everything, everything just looks so good and delicious. And I'm like, wow, why can't I do that? It's just amazing. I watch in awe, I tell you. So can you tell us a little bit about how you became a kitchen witch, the reasons why you love to cook and all that jazz?
Yeah, I think again, it's just going back to that connection, really. My journey with food has not always been a positive one. I had quite severe eating disorders from the age of 10, really. And so this journey through kitchen witchery has been part of my recovery. I'm definitely not saying that people can cure themselves and that it's a replacement for therapy and medical intervention, but it has definitely been really impactful for me because I used to look at food as just calories. I had diaries full of calories instead of memories. And now I look at food in a completely different way because I'm not just trying to create something that has taste or macros or proteins or low calories. I'm looking to add ritual into my life, add stories into my life through food. And it's really changed the way that I look at a meal. I started throwing sort of these like elaborate dinner parties for friends in sort of 2018, 2019. And that was kind of the beginning of things. I think it all started with a party that we had at my house share where I baked a cake and everyone went crazy for this cake. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm all right actually. I like doing that. And then that kind of evolved to me making a Halloween party with a huge spread of food, and I just got really into the weeds of like the symbolic nature of like the apple. It just got really obsessive about every little detail of making this spread. from there, I spent a couple of years just throwing these elaborate dinner parties, mostly for friends. Like I'd throw their birthday parties, and every single ingredient sort of meant something that was personable to them or to the theme of the food. I was already doing a lot of foraging in 2019. 2020 is when I got really, really into it. I mean, my dad is very into plants and wildflowers in particular. So he used to teach me about wildflowers, but I never really listened when I was a kid. But now I feel like I mean, I'm not an encyclopedia of knowledge on the subject by any means, but I can definitely take you into the woodland and say, this is what yarrow looks like and this is what it does. And I also have a bad memory. So the way that I remember that, what those things do, is through the folklore behind them and through the stories connected to them. And yeah, I think everything that we do is stories, right? I feel like my content online is first and foremost storytelling before it is cooking. I mean, I love cooking, I love food, I'm really interested in it. But before I was doing this, I've done many things. I've done video editing, I've been an artist, I've done tattooing, and it all comes back to this like connection with others and this form of telling stories. So yeah, that's kind of how it's evolved.
I love it. I love the stories behind the ingredients. The pomegranate one you did recently, bloody amazing that was. And I was just like, because it's in the tarot and everything, and it pomegranates
Yeah,
everywhere.
I love Greek mythology. Like I can't read them off the top of my head because they're so convoluted. Like there's so many different Greek mythology stories, and like Zeus is shagging everyone. That you know what I mean? Like it's a very complicated family tree. Is Greek mythology, but when you read about it, it just really speaks to you. It's so interesting. The story behind the pomegranate is it's the story of how we get winter. So Demeter has a daughter called Persephone, and they live on the earth, and it's very green and verdant and sunny and beautiful. And I can't remember the exact bits and pieces, but Persephone ends up in the underworld with Hades. Kind of gets Stockholm syndrome, to be honest. She is essentially his captive, but she ends up kind of enjoying his company. And eventually, because Demeter is mourning her daughter and the earth has gone to winter, and the sun has disappeared and it's dark and it's cold because Demeter is in mourning of Persephone. And so Hades allows Persephone to leave and to go back to the earthly realms. And Persephone is not allowed to eat or drink anything in the underworld. But before she leaves, Hades offers her 6 pomegranate seeds and she eats them. And so that obviously means that she has to stay with him, but she only has to stay for 6 months of the year. So when autumn happens and when winter happens is when Persephone is going back into the underworld and Demeter is going back into mourning. And so the earth turns to scarce, cold mourning again. And then in springtime, Persephone comes back to the earth. There's lots of stories that mirror that in lots of different cultures as well. I mean, that's one of the most famous ones, but you do tend to see that throughout different folklores. Like there's the story of I think it's the Cailleach, which I think is a Celtic story or possibly a Eastern European story, or two sides of the same coin. Like they might have a different word for it. But again, that's like a wintry being that stalks across the earth and turns everything to winter. So there's loads of different examples of that story across lots of different cultures, told in slightly different ways, but they all kind of have the same thread. And I love it. I find it so interesting.
It is really cool, like from a sort of witchcraft paganism perspective. I really enjoy learning about the food.
Yeah,
and then I don't need to cook it, so it's all good.
Yeah, it's definitely not necessary to cook it.
Have you got any more like favorite food stories that you can remember?
My absolute favorite story is, I mean, it's not really a story so much as a real thing that happened in sort of like folk Britain, is this practice of the sin eater. And I found out about this because I'm from Shropshire and I was staying in a cottage earlier in the year and I wanted to make something called Shropshire butter buns, which I'd never made before, but I had heard of them. So I thought, oh, I'll have a crack at making those. And through sort of like bits and pieces of research about Shropshire, about food, about the folk stories connected with it, I found the story of sin eaters, which were people who were employed, essentially paid to eat above dead or either recently deceased or dying people, and it was thought the act of eating or drinking over the corpse or the dying person would absorb the sins of that person, because say they'd already passed on, or they were incapacitated, they weren't able to speak their sins or absolve themselves of their sins, so a person would eat over them to take the sins within them. And the last sin eater of England, can't remember his name unfortunately, but he is buried in Shropshire on the like Welsh English border in Shropshire. And I just find that story so fascinating, and it really connects to how we assign like morality to food, or especially to not eating food, because him eating is the sin there. So again, it connects to me because of my like history of eating disorders and putting morality on food that just doesn't need to be there. But you see that a lot in like religion and folk stories as well. And yeah, I just love it. It's a dark tale for sure, but those are always going to be my favourites.
I don't think it's interesting that in diet culture, like Slimming World,
Yeah,
it's called sins, isn't it?
yeah,
Sin food.
that's so true.
Do you
That's so
think
true.
they know that history, or is it a complete coincidence? And that's the universe going like,
Do you know what? I hadn't even made that connection. I think about this stuff day in, day out. That's such a good point. I totally forgot that they call them sins, which is like such a gross thing when you
it
think about it.
is. I did 2 rounds of diet culture, and I were like, nah, mate. I don't, why am I paying you for this? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah. Yeah, we all fell for it though. We all fell for it hook, line, and sinker. And it's so, I think one of the reasons why it's so tempting and engaging is that it puts like purpose into your day. It puts purpose into your daily rituals of food. That's essentially what I'm trying to do, but from like a more holistic perspective, like a positive perspective, rather than saying, oh, this is a sin and I'm counting these points. It's kind of enjoyable to do stuff like that in a weird way. And again, through like my disordered eating, I enjoyed it like in a really sick and perverse way. It gave me something to think about. And I suppose I still think about food in a ritualistic way, but much more positively and much less obsessively. I have found that through my practice, through like connecting it with witchcraft and stories and the magical properties of what I'm eating.
Do you use food in actual spells?
Almost all of my recipes are like a spell of some kind, especially what I'm doing like day to day. I have these things called moon milks, which are very simplistic versions of like a food spell, because it's really easy to just grab 5 or 6 ingredients that have magical properties, stick it in some milk and have it as a moon milk, light a candle. Like it's a really simple way of doing it. You don't need to bake anything elaborate. It just means that you're doing something with intention. I do spells that are not based around food, but most of my spells are food based. Some of them are more recipe based than others.
I like it when you get your little broom and you do that, like eyeballing. Like, I bloody
That
love that.
that literally started as a bit of a joke because I really wanted that broom. I bought it from a little shop in Oxford, and I really, really wanted it. And it was before I'd really started making much content. I think it was in like February, right at the beginning of when I started making content around my food practice. And the person that I was with, I said, I'm going to buy this broom and I'm going to put it in videos so that I can expense it. Like I wasn't even making money from content at that point. It was just kind of a joke. Like I'm going to use it in videos and therefore I can justify the fact that I've spent 45 quid on a silly little broom. But then it became a real part of the ritual, a real part of the practice, and it had, a meaning behind it. But it all started as tax evasion.
Well, keep it, because I do actually love it. I do. It's so
It
good.
is really cute. It is really cute. I need to like sell them or something because people love that broom.
There's something frightfully chilling going on in Otley Town. Book yourself onto the Otley Ghost Tour and embrace the miserable history of Otley in Leeds. A seemingly quiet, quaint, historic market town settled neath the looming gaze of the ancient Chevin. Learn about the small town eccentrics who once upon a time hobbled over the cobbles, and find out about the phantom characters who still persist today. Your ghoulish guides will regale you with tales of bygone days, and you will finish the evening with an optional free drink in one of Otley's most haunted brew houses. Dear listeners, if you fancy yourself a deliciously dark evening in Otley, I'll let you into a little secret. I have formed a deal with the ghost leader, Spindleshanks McScrew, and you will receive a free gift if you repeat this quote prior to your tour. Oole boole, let's get ghouly. Have a grisly good time, witches. How long does it take for you to make these wonderful videos? You must have cameras all over.
It's all on my phone.
No.
Yeah, I change the angle for every single shot that I do. So it's I wish I had lots of different cameras, but I've just found that my process, like, I'm so used to it now. I mean, it does take a while to make each video. It depends how long, really. It depends on the complication of the recipe as to how long it takes. Sometimes the thing that takes the longest is just creating like the story behind it, creating like a voiceover. Sometimes I'll make a recipe, and I made a carrot cake a couple of months ago, and it sat in my drafts for ages because I couldn't come up with. I made it because I wanted to make a carrot cake essentially, and the only sort of voiceover idea that I had for it was talking about Queen Anne's lace, which is a wild carrot, and the history of Queen Anne's lace, which the flowers actually go into the recipe itself. But every time I went to do it, I felt like it was slightly boring. But then I somehow landed on this bizarre coincidence while I was doing the voiceover. So I didn't even plan it. It was I did this voiceover and scrapped it because I found out this information while I was doing a bit of research. And it just all came together so beautifully that I was like, how has that coincidence just come upon me? Like, so lucky that it all just came together. If I remember rightly, again, I have a terrible memory, but what it was, that Queen Anne's lace is named after Queen Anne, of course, of Denmark, and it was said that there's a tiny little red flower in the middle of the sort of bird's nest display of a Queen Anne's lace flower, and it was said that she had pricked her finger while just one darn a lace, weave a lace, create a lace, however she did her lace. She pricked her finger and the red flower represented the drop of blood. And that's how you identify a Queen Anne's lace. It's really easy to identify because of that tiny pink or red flower in the middle. But then I found out, well, I already knew that carrots, our traditional orange carrots, are orange because farmers in the Netherlands had bred them to be orange in honour of William of Orange. So I knew that. And I didn't think there was a way to marry those two facts. But it turns out that Queen Anne's granddaughter ended up marrying William of Orange, which is just a bizarre coincidence. And not only that, but their son that they went on to have, I didn't actually mention this in the video because it just kind of it would have gone off on one too much, but he was James I, who is famously the witch hunter king of England. Like, he wrote the book Demonology and sort of popularized this idea that we hunt for witches, or at least made it very, very mainstream. So yeah, just a bizarre coincidence that I never imagined that I would be able to get such a cohesive tale out of a Queen Anne's lace, but it just kind of happened upon me. So I was quite pleased with that.
I remember the video actually, and the tiny little red flower in the middle.
Yeah.
God, I'm just so into it. It's like I wish I could cook, but
oh, there's no need to cook. There's no need to. Oh, well, baking cooking.
Yeah, well, basic, like shortbread. I can do shortbread. I could do cake and buns, and
that's harder than cooking. I think cooking, you just throw in whatever, but baking has to be like, you have to get it right or it won't work.
I don't know, because when I try and cook, it looks amazing, it smells amazing, and when I eat
it tastes bad.
It tastes of nothing. It tastes shite. Whereas with baking, it can go a little bit peat tongue, but then it still tastes all right because it's
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah, that's fair actually. I guess cooking is it maybe more intuitive? I'm not sure because I do kind of make it up. I'm not really, like I say, I'm not trained or anything. I'm just kind of making stuff up. But it works, you know.
Mhm.
It's tasty
Yeah.
enough, I think anyway.
I use a lot of lavender in my baking because I've got lavender
Oh,
plants
nice.
all over. I drink it as tea and do it in Magick, and I always put it in my goddess
Yeah.
shortbreads. They just taste so
Well,
lovely.
there you go. You're a kitchen witch. That's kitchen witchery.
Kind of like half, kind of like foot in the door kitchen. But I'm right messy as well. I just end up like covered in it.
Yeah, I love a bit of lavender as well.
Do you have any stories about lavender?
I haven't actually done, I've done a video that had lavender in the recipe, but I haven't actually done a video on lavender yet. I know that it, is about healing and divination to a certain extent and calming. We all kind of intrinsically know what lavender is because we know how we feel when we smell lavender, and it's that very like calming, soothing. Ooh, it's like you instinctively know what lavender does. But I haven't actually done a video about lavender, so I'll have to do that. I was going to make a lavender and pandan Battenberg this summer, but I never got around to it, so maybe it'll be that.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Please do that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the story would be yet. I have to do a bit more research about lavender. Maybe I can find some weird folklore about it.
The universe will just be like, here you go.
Yeah,
Here's
here's
what you're
some
looking
weird
for.
coincidence. Pandan is like an Asian version of vanilla that I absolutely love. It's such a lovely taste. So maybe lavender will have some really weird links to pandan in some way.
Before I came on tonight to record with you, I just saw your recent video about
Oh,
meat. Like I didn't make that connection, but as soon as you said it about steak and stuff, I was a bit like, oh yeah.
yeah, I do find it really bizarre, that movement of like meat being connected to manliness. Very odd. And like this really outdated version of manliness as well, like caveman. I don't know if you know who the Liver King is, but someone alerted me to this person recently, and I was like, what is happening in the zeitgeist? He's this really like muscular man who eats like raw liver and shouts a lot, and I was just like, this is bizarre.
Ew.
And it, yeah, it's kind of gross. And it really got me thinking about the carnivore diet and how often that seems to be like there is a stereotype of a person who does the carnivore diet, and it is usually that like masculine, muscular man who wants to be like the epitome of like caveman, rah, toughness. And it's strange how a lot of like male wellness crazes seem to be about endurance. Like the ones that they latch onto are things like the intermittent fasting, because it's like a test of character, like a test of endurance. Like I have suffered, which again, this is not anything to do with like male individuals. This is what is pushed upon men. Because I do get comments sometimes. I've literally had one just tonight talking about how, I must hate men and I have beef with men. Excuse,
Beef.
excuse the pun. But it's not that at all. What I take issue with is the narrative and the expectation of masculinity that's being pushed on men. And I have seen friends of mine, men who don't eat meat or who are vegan or vegetarian or whatever. I've seen that character be ridiculed as being like feminine somehow, like, oh, this soy boy, these male vegans and they're all growing breasts because they drink soy milk. I'm like, what is going on? Food is obviously a political issue, and it has been for a really long time. But I think because of the nature of the internet and all of these different fad diets and trends and wellness culture as well, it's sort of splintered off into all these various different cultures, all of them connected to this like moral situation. And obviously, because gender is a really big talking issue at the moment, I do think that there seems to be this strange narrative of like steak equals manhood. And I don't like that.
Isn't it Desperate Dan? Isn't it like, I just remember
Yeah.
Desperate Dan, from comic books with big
Yeah.
steak.
Although Popeye loved his spinach, to be fair, so maybe I'm talking
Yeah.
rubbish.
Popeye, big up Popeye, he loves spinach.
The carnivore thing is strange because it's not even about eating meat, it's about not eating vegetables. Like, why wouldn't you eat vegetables? That's bizarre. But yeah, maybe Popeye's spinach was actually just like powdered greens.
It did kind of look like powdered greens, to be fair.
It did. He didn't get it. He didn't get it out the ground, did he? He got it out of a can. So maybe it was
Yeah.
just AG1.
Processed. Even myself, though, I mean, I do eat meat, and I am making an effort to not eat as much meat as we used to in the past because of the world and gases and, like
Yeah.
eco-friendly stuff. Not so much about veganism, which it probably should be a bit more about veganism, but we're just really conscious of his global footprint, like as
Yeah, for sure.
what we
I mean,
use.
that's a whole other a massive conversation that's going on. I don't massively get involved in that conversation. I don't even say what my diet is online because I know whatever I say, someone will just weaponize it against me, or they'll think that I'm projecting my stuff onto them, and I don't want to do that. And I definitely want my recipes to be as inclusive as possible. So my recipes don't have any meat in them, and each of them will work no matter what butter, milk you choose to use. Like, doesn't matter what if you're using dairy milk and butter or non-dairy milk and butter, doesn't matter, the recipe will work either way. So I've kind of designed them so that they will work for as many diets as possible. And I'm trying not to do the thing of like telling other people how they should eat, because there's a lot of people on my page who also have a history of eating disorders. And so I'm not going to put that morality onto food. The whole point of my page is to not put morality onto food and to question the morality that we as a society put into food. So I think if I go around telling people that they need to eat how I do, then it's doing my entire message a bit of a disservice, really. Not everyone will agree with that, but I think I have a bit of responsibility. Like, I don't want to trigger people or leave them out of the conversation. So try to just bring in as many people as possible and make it accessible for as many diets as possible.
And I can see that it does come across really well. Yeah, no, I do see that.
That's good.
Have you ever made something and it's gone wrong or it's tasted bad?
Oh my God, yeah. Well, I've got a couple of these. I did a recipe recently of these like delicious looking plum swirl buns. They looked so, so good. And I had bought a couple of different sugars, or so I thought, from a shop in Brighton called the Spice Shop, who does all different spices and sugars and like these amazing things. So I'd bought some strawberry sugar and some bourbon vanilla sugar. Delicious. Sounds lovely. And I used that bourbon vanilla sugar in the recipe where I'm making this like plum jam. I didn't taste the jam before I put it in the swirl buns. Looked absolutely fine. And it was salt.
No.
I didn't realize that it was salt until I'm on camera eating it and it dawns on me, this is very salty. So so that went wrong. But I'm not going to say it in the video because that recipe, as long as you use sugar and not salt like an idiot like me, will work and it will be delicious. But it was salt.
Did your face not give it away? You were like, oh,
Yeah,
disgusting.
yeah. I'm just gonna edit that out because
You'll have to do one with it in. I want to see.
I might have a blooper reel. If I've still got the footage, I might have a blooper reel of just me realizing that it is not sugar. So yeah, I do things like that all the time because most of the recipes that I'm making, I haven't tested them before I do the video. Usually like the first time that I'm making that recipe. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. And a couple of times it hasn't. Like there was a custard tart recipe, honeysuckle custard tart recipe. Absolutely messed that up. I should have made like a cornflour mix with cold water. And I put, for some reason, I don't know, I was filming, I was distracted. I did it wrong. It was all wrong, but that's okay. I made the video about how we all make mistakes, so it's fine.
I think it's good as well that you keep that in, that you're not
Yeah.
like this perfect video editor all the time. Stuff goes wrong, and because that's life, innit? And mistakes aren't necessarily to be avoided.
Sometimes mistakes end up leading to like really good discoveries, but in the case of my salty swirl buns,
It reminds me of Chef's chocolate salty balls.
yeah, yeah. If it had been less salty, it would have been fine. Just, oh, this is an interesting salty flavour, but it was a lot of salt.
Like that.
Yeah, it tasted like soy sauce.
Oh my God. I used to have such a repulsion to salt. Only recently I've started trying to introduce a little bit into my diet because I would actively avoid it. And I went to a healer a few months ago and he did this, I don't know what he did, you know, when they just look at you and they know.
Yeah, yeah.
But Magick, and he said to me, you want to start putting a little bit of salt in your diet, like Celtic salt on your tongue and stuff,
Ah,
just to help because you're a little bit dehydrated, you're not holding on to water and
yeah.
all that. I was a bit like, oh, that's interesting because I refuse salt so often. So now I'm getting into just putting a tiny little bit of pink salt on my chips and
That's amazing that they were able to just look at you and just be like, yeah, this girl's deficient in
I know
her
it were mad.
electrolytes.
No idea how he did it. You know, he was asking me to like walk up and down the hall and
Yeah.
stuff, and I don't know.
Has it
I think
worked?
I think so. Yeah, feel like I'm functioning
Yeah.
a bit
Do you
better,
just
but
hate the taste?
sort of training myself to just suck it up, basically.
Yeah.
Like, don't be so repulsed. I think because I do a lot of, well, I used to do a lot of sea swimming before I had children. And
Oh,
when I got the sea salt in my mouth, it did make me
yeah.
want to vomit because it's really, really salty, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what my swirl buns tasted like.
Yeah. Oh my God. And I think, "Bleh." And that kind of gave me a little bit of a like, oh my God, salt. You know, it made it a lot worse than it probably actually was to eat salt. Because I
Yeah, I
made
can
that
see that.
association of like vomiting in the sea one time.
Yeah, that makes sense. We've all got that thing. For most of it's vodka, but we all have that
It
one.
is. Or
that one.
Sambuca in
Yeah.
my case. Bloody hell.
We all have taste trauma from something.
Oh, you did cocktails as well, actually, talking of alcohol, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah. I'd say like 1 in 4 of my recipes now are drinks. Because again, I've always made cocktails. That's again another really easy way to do a spell because you can sort of like put 4 or 5 ingredients together. I absolutely love doing the cocktails. Usually because I film like 4 in 1 day and I end up getting really drunk on my own and it's quite fun. Yeah, oh yeah. That gin and ginger one, I have to say, I've made that for a few people now because it is delicious. That is fully a staple, a bar staple for me now.
A boat
Yeah,
bar?
yeah. Do you know what? When I bought the boat, I was going to do my supper club in the boat, and I'm still very much thinking about it. Like maybe come January, maybe that's something that I'll start doing. It's just so small. It's just really difficult. I'd only be able to have a few people at a time, and it's just is it worth the time and the mess and stuff like that? But I would love to do it. One day I'll have a wide beam and I'll be able to have loads of people on.
I'm going to say, you're going to need a bigger boat, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah, literally gonna need a bigger boat. Yeah,
But also, it's your sanctuary. I mean, would you
yeah.
want loads of people coming through? You know what I mean? I do sort of think that's a bit of a tug of war, isn't it?
It is. It's like if I'm in the mood for it, I feel like I can be a good host. I've got this madcap idea at the moment of hosting these ritual dinners to take people through these rituals, and obviously you get food along with it. So, it is also a dinner party and we'd have a laugh together. It's not all serious, serious. But then you're not always in the mood to sort of host or switch it on. So I just worry that I would get nervous and bottle it or mess it up. But I'm trying to reason with that. I'm trying to create like a really sturdy ritual that I can bring to people alongside a dinner because I did a ritual at the beginning of the year for In Bulk, which was essentially a transformation ritual that I designed. And my life has changed immeasurably since I did that ritual. I'm not saying it's all down to that, but it definitely kickstarted my sort of like confidence and motivation. And there's been a real shift. So I would love to do that. It's called the Lemon. I won't go into it, but it's called the Lemon. And I would love to do it alongside like a dinner party for people. So yeah, that's something that I'm really trying to think about the logistics of how I could create that. It would be very difficult to do it on the boat, but I also feel like the boat is, the character of my content. So I'm like, how can I get the essence of the boat into a different place so that I can hold more people, because doing it with three, it would be nice and intimate. I think it would be much better if I could do it with like 10, 11 people at once, but we'll see. Maybe I'll start it on the boat and see where we go from there. I'll think of something.
Oh, good. I'm actually hosting a death over dinner
Oh,
this
wow.
month as
Yeah,
part of I've got a little coven called Friendly Coven.
yeah.
I went to a death over dinner in August and I absolutely loved it. It was so interesting. Freely talking about death and grief and what
Yeah,
happens to bodies, and it was bloody fantastic.
that's really cool. I love that.
But I was going to say, is there a certain food that would be good, like as a centerpiece that represents death?
Pomegranate's a great one. I love rosemary for death because rosemary is really connected to remembrance, partly because it's good for memory. Like scholars in ancient Greece used to wear rosemary while they were studying to help them retain the information. So for that reason, for its like connection with memory, it's really, really connected to remembrance. And I am working on a couple of recipes right now for Samhain that entail like rosemary and remembrance, and like soul cakes as well is another one, and setting the table for a person who's passed on. But yeah, I would definitely pomegranates because that's obviously connected to like the underworld and going into winter and the death of the earth, well, not death, but a form of death. But yeah, rosemary I think is a really, really good one. So maybe like a rosemary focaccia or something.
That's so good. It's a really good advice there. Thank you. I knew you'd have some. I knew you'd have some.
Thank God you asked about something that I know about.
I know. Oh well, yeah. I did have a little inkling what floated your boat. All the puns. Is there any food that you really can't stand?
Licorice.
Oh, I hate
Yeah.
licorice as well. It is
Yeah.
minging.
I love like the taste of basically everything apart from that like aniseedy. I can kind of do fennel, but licorice is a step too far. So
Yeah.
it's a no-no. Yeah. And there's this drink called like genitan or something. That is disgusting. It's horrid. It's like a herbal mixture, a bit like a vermouth tonic type thing. Ugh, it's not for me at all.
Do you like Marmite?
I do like Marmite. Yeah.
Oh,
Weird.
no way.
But do you know what? I feel like Marmite, even though everyone says, "Oh, you love it or you hate it," I'm like, it's all right.
No.
I don't.
Behave.
I'd say I don't love it, but I don't hate it. It's all right.
You're indifferent to Marmite. Oh my God.
Yeah, I just have to be. I'm not like the other girls. I don't. Oh, I'm indifferent to Marmite.
Is that the title of my episode? Write down. If you had any advice for somebody who wanted to get more food into their witchcraft practices, have you got any sort of quick, easy ways you could start out?
Yeah, the moon milks are a really good one because it's just so easy. There's a couple of recipes on my page. Bread is always good. I mean, you don't even have to put anything in for bread to be a spell. You're tactile with it, you're kneading it, you're touching it. It's bringing mindfulness into that. I mean, making bread is a ritual. And if you want to like connect to the ancestors, make some bread. Every like culture on earth has been making bread since time immemorial. So I think making bread with intention, with mindfulness, even if that's carving a sigil into the top of your bread before you stick it in the oven, could be something like that. The yeast in the bread, it's rising, therefore it's growing something, it's alive. So yeah, making bread is a really easy one. And there are some bread recipes that are so easy as well. The bread recipe that I make the most often is soda bread. Soda bread's so delicious. You don't have to mess about with yeast even. It will work. And I've got a video coming out that's a store cupboard soda bread. So it's like whatever you've got in the cupboard, just stick it in, give it a clear out, and you can look up the magical property. I mean, I won't ream off the magical properties of like every single ingredient right now, but they're really easy to find. There's a book called Cunningham's Herbal Dictionary, something like that. I use it every day and I can't remember the exact title, but it's Cunningham's. And it has like the magical properties of loads of different plants and herbs, really easy to use. And yeah, that's kind of my Bible. That's my dictionary. So that's a really good one. If you just get a copy of that, you're away.
I do actually own that book.
Oh, there you go.
I own pretty much all of Scott's books because he is proper the witch to go for a solitary practitioner.
Yes, yeah.
I really, really love him. Oh, I want to go make some bread now. It's making me all like, oh, actually, maybe I can do a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
You can. It's so easy. There's a soda bread recipe on my page. Yeah, make some bread. Enjoy the feeling of dough between your fingers. It's a lovely, lovely thing.
And forget about the mess. Clean it up when you're done.
It's all part of the practice. It's all part of it. It's fine.
I love bread. When I was a student, I used to go around going, respect the bread. I don't know why. I don't know why I did this. I used to write on all my books, respect the bread. No.
Oh my God, I love that so much because bread gets such a bad rap. Everyone thinks that bread is like bad for you, and it's really not. Bread is like, it's the pillar of human existence.
It's a long history. It's been around for forever. I always like the idea of making my own butter as well, just getting a churner and doing milk, and I need to do that. I don't
have the muscles for that.
takes a while, and all of a sudden it just goes, doesn't it? And it's like, oh, I've got butter. How amazing is that?
I made cream in February. That was a lot of arm work, but it's the same. It's like liquid for ages, and then suddenly it's cream, and you're like, oh, amazing.
Oh, there it is. Put a bit of sugar in it to make it into cream, do you?
Little bit of powdered sugar, I think a little bit of corn flour just to give it some structure. Yeah, and it just does its thing. And you can do it with any kind of cream as well. I've done it with oat cream, I've done it with milky coconut cream, the like liquid, not coconut water, but coconut cream. It works. I think it just all comes from the arm work. And then you've earned the right to eat the butter.
There you go. And the bread as well. I like the idea of toast. Like, who made the bread and somebody went, cook it again. It's like, now you've got toast. Such a good idea.
Yeah. How did they discover toast? Who knows? Some genius, some absolute genius.
Bloody respect them. I do. I respect them. It's been such a good conversation, Laura. Thank you so much for all this amazing foodie talk. Do you want to give yourself a little plug? Where can my listeners find you?
I'm about to change my name on Instagram, so that is obviously a difficulty. So my name for the moment is @MaymoonNarrowboat. I am changing it because on TikTok it's @TheRitualKitchen. On YouTube, I'm also about to change it to The Ritual Kitchen, but it's currently Maymoon Narrowboat, and it'll probably be Maymoon Narrowboat for the next few weeks. So I'm not sure when this goes out, but either one of those you'll be able to find me.
So what's your new name?
On Instagram, I haven't decided yet.
Oh, have you not? Okay.
No, I'm trying to find the right, because The Ritual Kitchen is taken on Instagram. So I'm trying to find the right one. I think I'm going to change the name to Laura May Ritual Kitchen.
Oh, so, I like that. Yeah.
Yes. So on Instagram, it's @Laura May Ritual Kitchen. And I guess it'll have to be that now because I've said it.
You said it. That's it now. No going back.
So yeah, it should be Ritual Kitchen everywhere.
So we come and have a look at your Instagram for all this amazing stories and folklore behind the recipes and the ingredients.
Yeah, I'm sorry I've made it so convoluted for you to find my Instagram.
It is such a good Instagram profile. I look at it all the time and I share it often because
thank you.
My listener were like, oh my God, Swailes, you need to look at this Instagram right now. And she like sent me and tagged me and it was a bit like, oh, look at this.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much, love.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
You have been listening to the Bell Witch podcast, created with love and magic by me, Swailes, the friendly green witch. Big thank you to my lovely guest for this episode. And thank you to you, dear listener, for choosing the Bell Witch podcast to fill your ears. If you have a witch business, an independent podcast, a witchy topic you'd like me to talk about, or a trailer you'd like me to play, reach me on the Bell Witch podcast @yahoo.com. I love to hear from you and I love to support you and I love to celebrate other witch businesses because there indeed is magic in sharing audiences amongst podcasts and other spiritual businesses. If you would like to show the Bell Witch podcast some love, you can leave ratings and reviews wherever you listen to your podcasts, as those stars really do help the show to shine. Join the Bell Witch podcast on Patreon for bonus content, early access and behind the scene videos. Until next time, stay magical, witches. Are you ready to sip on something extraordinary? May I introduce the tea tonic, where every cup is crafted with care, nature's finest ingredients and a touch of magic. The tea tonic is 100% natural and have a wide range of single leaf teas, unique blends, all handmade to order using their specially designed recipes. The tea tonic use fully compostable and recyclable packaging and can also create bespoke blends just for you. Visit theteatonic.com and receive 10% off your entire order with the affiliate code BELLWITCH. And take a moment with the magic of spiritualities with the Tea Tonic of Leeds.